Anything like they do our kids. We got contracts. I mean, we got some schools so stupid they give kids contracts, but they're still here. I don't understand that whatsoever. Like, NCAA, y'all got to do something, man. Don't just sit there on your hands and open them up so everybody can grease you during.
Both Deion Sanders and Nick Saban have been vehemently outspoken about the transfer portal and about different ways to fix it. Now, a lot of people say it's the NIL. Some people say transfer portal that's killing college football, but we have to agree that both of them go hand in hand, right? Immediate eligibility with the portal plus NIL has created an absolute sandstorm of things where it seems like coaches cannot even predict rosters until a week before game one. So today what we're going to do is listen to Deion Sanders actually calling out the NCAA just a few months back whenever we had the Isaiah Augustin situation. We also have some videos of Nick Saban speaking on the transfer portal, a throwback video of Nick Saban basically predicting how bad things are getting and kind of his opinions there. And then just to finish it off, we're going to go through some of the biggest storylines of the transfer portal right now. Actually, I need to put him because they're brothers right next to each other. And we'll just kind of give you a highlight. So going into the season, you can kind of keep up with these really crazy situations that are kind of alluding with the transfer portal. And all this comes off the back of the NCAA instituting another transfer portal. So everybody has been complaining about the portal windows, and the NCAA adds another one. Now it's not a full real portal. We're going to get deeper into that. But let's start off with some of the complaints of Deion and Nick Saban when it comes to the transfer portal.
We got some tremendous guys identified that's in the portal that we felt like we're going to be in the portal. We don't jump the gun on that stuff because the last thing I want to hear is my name associated with tampering or anything like they do our kids. We got contracts. I mean, we got some schools so stupid they give kids contracts, but they're still here. I don't understand that whatsoever. Like, NCAA, y'all got to do something, man. Don't just sit there on your hands and open them up and so everybody can grease you during palms and make a ton of money off everybody and don't have nothing to say about nothing. I don't understand that part. But portals is going to be good to us. I think we have several players coming this weekend, which I'm excited to see along with what we already have in-house.
Now, I want you to put a pin in that, right? What he said, people are offering contracts, because we're going to get back to that when we talk about some of the other stories, because that's already happened. Like it's been documented and happened, right? But I do want to be fair, right? We're going to be fair with all this, because this is also Deion Sanders talking about who he needed in the portal. So let's not get it twisted. He don't hate the portal. He just wants it done the right way.
Let's start.
What's he need?
Tremendous defensive tackle, another linebacker or two safeties, probably three corners, one receiver that's a grown man, that's a dog, a couple running backs, tight end, maybe a guard, tackle, maybe two centers.
God, I mean, two centers, though. Anyway, he wants a whole nother team. Anyway, so clearly he's not using or stopping using the portal anytime. Here are two throwback clips. One of these is from 2023. The other is from 2022 from Jackson State, speaking about his use of the portal. Well, this one is him talking to Pat McAfee about how he excavated half the team. And then this other one is going to be talking about issues of the portal and high schoolers on Barstool Sports. So we're going to start with Pat first.
I believe every time you speak publicly, I think you win people over into the transfer portal more for your program. How long realistically, now where you're at and what you know now, do you think that whole process takes to change a culture and get your people in there?
We already know what we got coming in. Y'all just don't know what we got.
Okay, good. I understand.
Hey, we already know what we got on the way here, baby. They probably at the airport right now. We already know what we got coming in. They just don't know. It's no way that I could put new furniture in this beautiful home if we don't clean out the old furniture. And that's not a shot.
I did not expect that. Hey, it's good furniture. Hey, it's good furniture. Never won any awards for any home good stuff.
It's great furniture. A lot of people love it, and a lot of people gonna love it. But that's not what we want. That's not what we desire.
So obviously Deion has been very candid about the portal, how he feels about it. Here he is also again speaking about some of the disadvantages and the problems.
recruiting classes and we bring in all these. Let me tell you something. The portal now, man, it's free agency.
Yeah.
I feel bad for high school kids because we're only taking like 4 to 5 high school kids this year, and they're getting the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
The NCAA is going to have to come in and say we got to increase the scholarship for high school kids, because why would you take the chance when you already have a plethora of kids that's already been to college, made the adjustment, and you know what's wrong with them or you know what's right with them, and you rather go there instead of risk it at high school.
So, again, and that kind of alludes to some of the issues that people have. Even to this day, I still see people posting like, "Oh my God, Colorado is so low ranked when it comes to high school." Like y'all made those posts 3 years in a row now, and 3 years in a row he secures a top player in the high school. Like that's the crazy thing. Like, why? I don't understand why people keep saying that when he's clearly telling you, hey, that the advantage is the portal, right? And I'm going to get some quality over quantity in the high school. He keeps saying that, and people are like, oh, but why aren't you getting high school players? Dog, I just told you. I just told you. Give me a sophomore Jimmy Horn, and I'll have him for 2 years, right? Give me these players. Like, I don't know why people only think that you can transfer a player and then, like, that's it. Like, and we're only having for 1 year. Like, some of these people stay, dog. But anyway, let's get to, easily accepted as the greatest coach in all of college football history, how he feels about the current, because it's actually from June 25th. So I think this is a new interview. I'm not sure there's a new interview of who this is from. This is Pure Athlete. And this is speaking on the broken system of the NIL and transfer portal combined.
I think the system that we had in college football the last few years, you could actually buy a championship. How does that affect the fan base? I've heard more negative comments from fans and people who support college football than ever before, because they're frustrated that they can't identify with players who transfer all the time. The bottom line is if you don't have the fans and the support and the interest, how are you going to maintain the standard of financial benefits that you need to be able to pay players and do all the things that we're talking about? Ultimately, you better protect the brand in terms of the quality of play and the competition. I don't think we did a very good job of that these last few years.
And then here he is speaking about it also, this just last year on college game day, talking about it.
The country. Portal's been something that's been really important to Florida State. How do you assess how it's being used now?
Well, the portal has evolved. In the beginning, the portal was just an instrument for a player to show everybody that he wanted to transfer. There was no name, image, and likeness, so he was just looking for a different opportunity to play. You add name, image, and likeness to it, and you got free agency. When you have free agency, you got agents. All right, so you got people out there that you can actually evaluate that are in the portal, but you also have people that you can just call and say, hey, I need a right end, I need a left tackle, I need a tailback. And those people know who's going to get in the portal and can help you bring them to your program. And, in a lot of cases, there are financial ramifications now, which is a part of college football. But the portal has really evolved through the years, over the last 3 or 4 years, that you can really build your roster and help your team tremendously through the portal and the resources to know who's in the portal and how good they are.
Okay, so I brought this up earlier about Iowa and Kirk Ferentz being suspended for a game because of tampering for Cade McNamara 2 years ago. Seems petty, seems dumb. I think the future of the NCAA is good, though. So I just would like to go on the record of that. Charlie Baker is going to figure it out. But whenever you talk about being able to talk to people and saying, hey, I need a tackle, I need an end, those agents, obviously, so they know who is potentially going to go in. Do they potentially tell people if you go in, there's 3 teams that are looking? Is it just like NFL free agency right now, basically?
Absolutely. So you don't really have to tamper with the guy because there's always a third party that you can be involved with. The one thing I like to say is when I retired, there were people camped out in Tuscaloosa to get players to go in the portal. Right. So if they wanted to look at somebody tampering, they should have done a little investigation right there.
Do you see it staying? Do you think it's going to stay the same, or do you think it's going to change in the future of the sport?
No, I think it'll change in the future. I think the court case will bring a new era and a new way to distribute money and share with players, which I think they should have the opportunity and still have name, image, and likeness opportunity.
So, very important. Few things. One, he kind of gave up the sauce, right? The whole tampering idea that Deion was alluding to at the beginning of the video, Nick Saban kind of spelled it out, right? The play is speaking to the agents, and we've done multiple videos about how NIL agents are basically scamming these kids, and it's really getting crazy. And this is another part where they're kind of aiding in some of these crazy situations of getting people where they are. But then on top of that, I do appreciate Nick Saban to continuously stand on the fact that, hey, look, I do want these kids to be paid, right? I'm not just going to just say that I'm like against that and like holistically against it, right? So I do appreciate at least him having that perspective and continuing to say that, because I think it's important to say. I think it's important to understand that, like, yo, I'm not just here saying that this is terrible. I'm saying that there has to be some real regulations. And then on top of that, the House bill that he's alluding to that has officially passed is still going through a bunch of other extra stuff, and like it's a whole scenario where, like, is the NCAA going to enforce it? Even their own rules they don't enforce. And then obviously we have an extra transfer portal that we're going to learn about after we listen to just a little bit, because we got to get to the end transfer portal videos. Nick Saban 7 years ago talking about the transfer portal.
Maurice Smith transfer situation a couple of years ago. Why could put up the same fight with Brandon Kennedy, especially when there seems to be more the push for more freedom, particularly with graduate transfers and proposals?
Well, then we should change the rule. I don't think it should be on me. I think we should change the rule. All right, if we agree in the SEC at these meetings that we're going to have free agency in our league and everybody can go wherever they want to go when they graduate, and that's what's best for the game, then I think that's what we should do. Then Brandon Kennedy can go wherever he wants to go. But if we don't do that, why is it on me? Because we have a conference rule that says he can't do it. And he can do it, but he's supposed to sit out for a year. So why is it on me? It's not even my decision. It's a conference rule. I always give people releases. And he has a release to go wherever he wants to go, but the conference rule says he can't go in conference. So why is that on me? The Maurice Smith thing wasn't on me either.
So he's kind of berating the media. And by the way, I'm just saying, when Deion Sanders does it, it's a problem. Nick Saban, obviously he earned it, but you know what I'm saying, maybe a little down the line when that happens, it'll be a different way. But clearly he's speaking about the beginnings of some of the rules of the graduate transfer rules, and that was just a slippery slope. Like, he already could see, like, you could see by that response, not only because people were trying to like put things on him, but clearly because I think he could see the bigger picture of where this is headed. Like, hey, there's a rule, dog. Like, and now people are trying to say this and that, and y'all are trying to get around and do this other extra stuff. It's like, and that's the problem that we are with NCAA. You talk about the Diego Pavia situation and all that, getting an extra year of eligibility, like all this stuff. Sure, the NCAA has rules, but again, are they going to enforce them? Are they going to be put into place? Like, it's a lot of craziness. And then here's another thing. Now, this one, I have to say, as much as we've been talking about the portal and how these two coaches feel about the portal negatively and how it needs to be changed, I don't think that this is a negative thing about the portal, but I just think it's so interesting that one of the biggest issues of the portal is the two windows. I don't know how adding another window is going to solve this issue that we're going to get into, but it's the issue that's about the what's it called? The bill, what's it called? That's getting signed up for college football. That's going to give some roster limits because it has to do with revenue sharing. So for the revenue sharing, you can only have a certain amount of rosters, yada yada yada. So with those cuts being made, there's going to be scholarship players that just can't. They just can't be on the team because of the roster limit. So with that being said, the NCAA Committee on Legislative Relief announced it will issue a waiver to allow athletes at Division I programs placed on the designated student athlete list to enter the portal between July 7th and August 5th. So that's coming up right now. I believe this is just a one-time transfer portal, specifically because of the new roster changes. So 2 months removed from the end of the spring transfer portal, there will now be one final run of players popping up in the portal ahead of the 2025 college football season. It's the result of the NCAA Committee on Legislative Relief decision to issue a waiver that allows certain players to enter the transfer portal between July 7th and August 5th. However, as one of the Power 4 general managers told CBS Sports, this one-time transfer portal window is expected to essentially be a nothing burger. Several other high-ranking Power 4 front office staffers shared similar sentiments with CBS Sports. In order for a player to enter the portal during the window, they have to be obviously designated as student-athlete sport, which is limited to players that teams don't want to count against the 105-player roster limit. So there you go. That's why the consistent expectation among CBS Sports front office sources is that the players that enter during this window will be walk-ons or, at best, back end of the roster scholarship players. No one of note will be entering during during this window. A high-ranking Power 4 team, as Central said, these are kids that we essentially don't find good enough. Man, that's what happens when money gets into it. You get sentences like this: the kids we don't find good enough. Which, hey man, that's how you want to paint it. Teams have until July 6th to designate said student athlete. Additionally, there are not expected to be any noteworthy players in position to force teams to designate them eligible as Power 4. So players, it says they don't really have any leverage, right? Again, the teams have to do that. But as I'm going to show you and explain to you in this first video, or not first video, just first story that we talk about, leverage doesn't matter in the NCAA. Rules don't matter. So my issue, even though the NCAA is painting it as a, hey, it's a nothing, you have to have a special waiver, right? It's only this one-time thing. I can clearly see it being abused. I will guarantee between those dates, as much as they're saying nobody will, there will be one or two. Not like high level. I don't think it's going to be like any starter or whatever, but I guarantee you one or two players that aren't a real deal, you know what I'm saying, designated whatever, are going to find a way to hop in the portal and get it cracking during that period. And find a way, oh, well, because this loophole XYZ, and they're just going to transfer and ask questions later. You want to know why I know it's going to happen? Because in a landmark moment in college sports, the University of Wisconsin has filed a lawsuit against Miami for tampering and eventual poaching a college football player under contract. A college football player under contract. We're in unprecedented college football times. That's a crazy We're reading sentences that have never been sentences before, son. A college football player under contract. Wow. All right. No one can tell me why a contract shouldn't be enforceable. This is just a part of the little snippet there. Now, we're not going to get deeper into this case. We can do a separate video on that. We've done videos about Xavier Lucas, but really quickly, this is just one of the stories that to prove my point of the unenforceableness of the transfer portal. Xavier Lucas, defensive back, true freshman from Wisconsin, standout guy. He wants to enter the portal at the end, or I don't even think it was spring. It was, I believe it was, fall. But that's not important. What's important is he puts his name in the portal. Wisconsin refuses to sign his papers, his release papers, to go ahead and enter the portal. We later find out with the contract thing, he signed over, and this is where it gets, again, I don't know how the NCAA is going to solve this. He signed over his name, image, and likeness rights to Wisconsin, the school, in a preparation deal because of the filing that we were talking about earlier about the filing that the same one that has to do with revenue sharing has to also do with what's it called, the way NIL is going to be distributed. And obviously, you know, teams or what's it called, schools paying them directly. Henceforth, as a person or as a player, you have to sign over your name, image, and likeness rights over to the school. He did that and then entered the portal, right? And was not released in the portal. But somehow his representation still got him into the portal and over to Miami. So I don't know. And again, Nick Saban already told us how you do it. It's through agents, right? Because technically it's not tampering if it's through agents, I guess. But how else? Like there's no way to get around that. He was, now it's messed up that Wisconsin wouldn't let him enter the portal. But at the same time, dog, you just signed over your rights to us. So I don't even know how the NCAA is going to institute that. Can he get money from regular NIL deals? Does Wisconsin own like all of his rights? Like, I don't know how the contract, that's a whole can of worms. I didn't even know that was possible. And then on top of that, from Miami's perspective, what the, like, hey, can you do that? How do you do that? How do you just sign someone who is officially not in the portal? How do you do that? Like, I don't even know how that's possible. So that's one of the craziest stories that you're going to have to watch, because now there's an official lawsuit. But crazy story. It just goes to point out that the rules that the transfer portal have set up don't matter. And when you speak about it not mattering, how about just a little trade? How about a Joey Aguilar from UCLA to Tennessee, essentially a quarterback trade? And obviously Nico goes to UCLA, and y'all remember this whole snafu. He sits out after training camp. We have our first at least our first high level contract negotiation sit out. in college football because of the transfer portal and because of the portal. He pops over, goes over in the West Coast where he's, to be honest, probably going to be a lot more comfortable with both the offensive scheme as well as, just being in the West, not being in the South, because he's Polynesian. It's a little closer to his people. And obviously his brother follows suit and just goes ahead to UCLA with his brother to hopefully, I guess, be, take over the reins when Big Nico is done. So that's a crazy little scenario. We had our first ever trade. And then some other things that are bubbling on the surfaces too. Miami cornerback, it's always a Miami cornerback, has entered the NCAA transfer portal. He transferred from Arizona in the winter. And now this is just more, I'm just using this as an example because another trend that we've been seeing in the portal, and this is why, like, dog, we just need one window. We've been seeing people transfer in the what's it called, winter portal or the fall portal, and then transfer again. Dog, he's wearing an Arizona jersey. He's a Miami corner that's in the, like what? How? He hasn't even put on Miami gear yet, and he's in the portal, right? And then you talk about people popping in the portal and popping back out of the portal. Jeremiah Brown into the portal for Colorado, popped back out. Oklahoma defensive line, David Storr pops in the portal, pops back out. Maybe these young players don't need to have this many opportunities into the portal. I'm just saying. And then I think the biggest thing of like, hey, can we figure this out? Like, and clearly that the NCAA is not working with the ratings or the people who are worried about, the national championship, because if you have the college football playoffs going on and you have a quarterback entering the transfer portal at the same time, Mr. Bo Perbula, who actually played some minutes for Penn State, who made it to the semifinals, right? And they had to do that without Bo Perbula because he entered the portal during a playoff run. Dog, there are so many issues with the transfer portal right now. So the fact that I saw that there was a new rule, I just thought it was a good time to go over all the craziness that's already been happening. And I really hope it gets less crazy, but I highly doubt it. But hey, comment down below what you think the craziest thing for the transfer portal is, something that you want to change for the transfer portal. Like this video if you like it, dislike if you don't like it, subscribe if you like football content of all shapes, sizes, forms, and fashion. Really appreciate you rocking and watching with me, man. Oh gosh, you're not supposed to see that. You'd be great. You'd be phenomenal. We'll see you next time. Peace.